Greetings, viewers. This is CP666 signing on for another video of this HP Vectra 486/66U 486 computer, of course, as you can probably tell by the name. For those of you that do not remember, this is an EISA-based system, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at the EISA configuration utility. Now let's see if I can get some focus on this. Here we go. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. We're going to have a look. I haven't done any research beforehand because, frankly, I hate research. I'm lazy. But we're going to have a look at this just from a layman's perspective, see what it does, and how to use it. So we will go ahead first, and we'll fire up the machine. Hopefully I have my KVM switch set right. I would have much preferred to have a separate monitor hooked up, but I don't really have that luxury. Looks like we have no focus. There we go, that's not too bad. So counting up the memory. I haven't powered this thing on in a very long time. I hear it making a rather unhappy noise. Oh no, it's okay. Keyboard is not connected. Huh, it still managed to keep the date and time. Well, that's kind of odd. So it's now booting. I don't want it to boot, that's the problem. So, I'll tote the keyboard up, so I guess I'm going to be turning it off. We'll go ahead and we'll turn it off, and then we will continue our expedition. Hooked up the keyboard, and I've also put the floppy in the drive so it will actually boot from this. Fire it back up. This does not have very good focus. There we go. If I get really close to it, we can get pretty good focus. So it should now boot into the EISA configuration utility on the floppy. RAM BIOS version D0103, which is good because that's what it is. There we go, with the EISA configuration utility. Now loading from floppy. This utility is provided to help you configure and maintain your HP Vectra PC, because I'm pretty sure you can't actually read this. Configuration includes setting the date and time as well as configuring hardware options. You should configure it the first time you set up your computer and whenever you add boards or options. Maintenance includes setting security options, managing hard disk drives, and checking for errors. Press Enter to continue. See, the thing about EISA systems is that it is plug and play before there ever really was plug and play. It's sort of like the microchannel architecture was for IBM in the PS2 line, and as well as the various clones. It allowed you to skip having to configure cards with jumpers and dip switches and all of that ugly crap that nobody ever really likes dealing with, and allowed it to just do it through software using configuration files that are aptly named configuration files, sort of similar to the adapter definition files of IBM's MCA bus. Now, apparently I have managed to tangle my keyboard all around various things, so I don't have very much length on it, which kind of sucks, but oh well, such is the way that things go. I guess I won't be sitting in the chair for this video. So we'll push Enter to get to the next screen, and we're greeted with the home screen. There are numerous things that you can do here. Configure the computer, set security features, run troubleshooting utility, which I believe is actually what the second floppy is for. We'll take a look at that. Run HP View, run hard disk drive utility, Select System Administration Manager options and exit. So we're going to choose the first option, obviously, and that is to configure the computer. When we get this, we can run configuration utility, set date, set time, set system language, maintain configuration files, and return to the home menu. Kind of annoyingly, this little thing down here covers up a lot of what's displayed on the screen. A minor annoyance, but definitely an annoyance nonetheless. So we'll run the configuration utility. Just going to say, please wait. Suppose as it's scanning files on the floppy, looking for configuration files, which is probably exactly what it was doing. Alright, step 1, important EISA configuration information. We'll go ahead and have a look. Your new EISA computer requires a new approach to configuration. Here we go. This describes exactly how EISA works. So if you want to pause the video and read any of these, you certainly can, assuming that you can actually read it. Although it looks like from my viewfinder you should be able to. I like the graphic over there. Welcome to EISA. The computer is awfully small, though. Let's see if we can get all of that on the screen to where you can actually read it. I hope you can read that. Probably not very well. One of the big things about EISA is that it's backwards compatible, or forwards compatible, I forget which the actual term is, with EISA cards. I think backwards compatible would be the right term. You can use EISA boards in an EISA system. You can't go the other way, of course, because that really doesn't make any sense. There are 7 pages. Holy crap. So here you can see what the fingers look like. That's pretty cool. Again, hopefully you can read this. Possibly not very well. Holy crap, what a text wall. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can go ahead and go to Add or Remove Boards. Now, of course, we don't really have very much here. There is the system board itself, which shows up as an EISA card, which is something about the EISA configuration stuff that I really never quite understood. I don't know if microchannel did that too. It's been a while since I've played with a microchannel system, but nevertheless, you can see we got 5 slots in this particular system, one of which has got a card in it, which is identified. It is an ISA card, but it does have a specific ISA configuration file. EISA configuration file, sorry. And embedded, we've got the system memory. That's kind of interesting. So here's our system card. Oops, I don't think I really wanted to do that. Alright, if we hit delete, that will remove something. We can move it. What happens if we hit F7? No, that obviously will not function. Anyway, so I think that is pretty well it for that. We're done. Don't need to bother with that. View or edit details. Again, I think this is going to show us all the cards. Well, here we go. Here's all the system board information, including the revision of the onboard BIOS. It's a 486DX, so we've got the onboard math coprocessor. Well, if I remember correctly, all 486s had an onboard math coprocessor. It was the... No, they did not. The 386SX was a cut-down design of the 386DX, whereas with the 486, the SX meant that it had a defective coprocessor. Or it was just simply not there with later versions of the 486, later produced 486 chips. You can get something of an idea. BIOS ROM shadowing. That was something that was a big deal. You had to make sure you knew where all those things were. Otherwise, it could be a real annoyance. We can actually have 3 drives installed. There's 2 5¼ inch bays and 1 3½ inch. We could have 2 5¼ inch floppy drives if we really wanted to. So there's a hard drive, 1630 megabytes. It's a 1.6 gig hard drive. So there's our configuration for the HPIB card. Here's your system memory. Here you can have a look at what's actually installed. That's pretty cool. All 2 megabyte modules. I believe they're 72-pin SIMs. They might be 30, but I believe they're 72. There we go. Alright. Examine required switches. This really is only applicable for ISA cards, if I remember correctly. And there's the BIOS protect switch, which should be set to locked, which I think is what it is set to. That just goes through, this basically just goes through a list of all of the settings for the dip switches. So that's pretty well straightforward. Same thing is true of the HPIB card. We can see all the dip switches on the card itself. Which there are apparently quite a few. Or maybe not. So there's how to configure it in MS-DOS. Wish I had a few more EISA cards to demonstrate this with. That'd be pretty cool. So you can go ahead and save and exit. But I don't think we need to, so we can hit escape and it'll reboot. That's what it'll do. So when it comes back up again, if it does, here we go. Set the date and time. I think those are fairly obvious. You can set the system language. We only get 5 choices, though. So I guess if you don't speak any one of these, well, then you're kind of screwed. I guess they don't really want to hear from you. Maintain configuration files. We can, of course, do with all those. We return to the main menu. Set security features. So this is basically like your BIOS. That's how this works. Instead of having a BIOS program on the actual flash BIOS, you have to boot to this. So if you lose these disks, well, you're kind of screwed. Of course, once again, big thanks to NJ Roadfan for finding these disk images for me. Run the troubleshooting utility. No error codes. Well, that's useful. HP View. I wonder if that's going to ask us for the second disk. Nope, I guess not. So this looks like a information screen about what's installed and all the configured options. That's funny. I think I got MS-DOS 622 on this, not MS-DOS 4.0. Alright, so we'll get out of that. So I'm really not sure what disk 2 is for. I might see if we can boot to that. Run the hard disk drive utility. Actually, I don't really want to do that, because I think that might only be applicable for SCSI drives. Where you low-level format the disk, prepare it for use. Install a mouse driver. So that basically gives a description as to what you can do with this option, what it actually does. I think the last thing that we are going to do in this particular video, because it is actually getting quite long at this point, is we are going to take a look at what the second diskette does. If anything. It's even bootable. Power on self-test is definitely not a fast process. Of course, it didn't really need to be back then. You wanted to make sure that everything worked. It's not like these days when everything's got to be practically instantaneous, otherwise it's broken! Oh noes! Oh, that's not bootable. So I guess we answered that question. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, certainly feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then.